Over the next coming lectures, we're going to be talking about random generators. Now, what random generators are is basically a simple generation of a random outcome. Now, in this lecture, we're going to be talking about a random number generator. And we're going to be using what we've been using before in the previous lectures, even in the applications that we created using ints. Now, we're going to get an int to randomly pick a number between 0 to 100, depending on how much we want it to select, and display that within a label. So what we need to do this is place in a button and a label. So if I drag and drop a button in and a label, now creating this random number generator is brilliant for if you wanted to create something like a lottery, where you needed a random outcome for anything, whether you're just giving your users a random number or whether you're creating a game and you need a random outcome to come to the game to kind of spice up what's happening. So random generators are a brilliant thing to use. So I'm going to simply name this pick me a random number and I'll label there. So I'm going to bring up the assistant editor and then make sure this is selected on our viewcontroller.h and then drag and drop this in to create an outlet for our label and an action for our button. And I'll simply name this random number. There we go, making sure that is selected on action and connect that into our view and then close that up. Okay, so we got that all set up. We're going to jump into our viewcontroller.m and within our random button here, we're just going to space it out so you can clearly see what we're typing. And we start by creating our int. So we type in int. Now name this random number. Now what's different from creating this int is we haven't named it within our viewcontroller.h. We are creating this as soon as the button is pressed so we can generate a random outcome. So we've named our int random number and we're going to equal it to our arc for random, which is a completely random kind of function. And then we're going to equal that to space, a percentage sign, and then how many numbers we want it to kind of randomly pick. So if we pick 10, it's going to randomly pick a number between 1 to 10. But I'm going to go one step further and select 100. So it's more, or kind of less likely to have the same number appear twice every time we press the button. So we've created that int and it's going to equal a random number between 0 to 100. We then need to display that randomly picked number within the label to our user. So we do self.label.text and that's going to equal our ns string space alloc, as we need to allocate it first to display this formatted int within it that we've created. So we do space init with format. If I scroll down to quickly find it, if not I'll just simply type it out, init with format, there we go, and then we do @ 2 quotation marks, then we do comma space random number. Now in the highlighted section here is what we do to place in our int. So we do the percentage sign and the letter D as we created this int from within the label, and a bracket and a semicolon. So now if we go to build and run to test it out, we can see exactly how it's going to be working. So again, as this loads up now and we press our button, it's going to generate and create our int and equal it to a random number between 0 to 100. We're then going to get our label and get our text feature of our label and equal our text to that random number as it's now placed within a string. So we press our button and every time we do, it randomly picks a number and displays it within our label. So like I said earlier, this is brilliant if you're creating maybe like a lottery app, or if you wanted a game and you needed like a random outcome for our user. This is a brilliant way to display these random outcomes. Now, maybe if the generation was smaller, maybe you picked 0 to, or a random number from 10 numbers, the sequence may repeat as there's only not as many outcomes. Now, as there's 100, that means there's loads and loads of outcomes, so it's less likely to repeat than if we had 10. But there we have it. That's how we create a simple random number generator. And in the next lecture, we talk about how to create random word generators.